A list of every song will be down in a pinned comment below. Please support these talented musicians. Silent Hill 2 is, simply speaking, a masterpiece. It continues to endure decades after its release, collecting widespread praise as one of the pinnacles of gaming and storytelling. It's not just a gorgeous spectacle, but a multi-layered narrative breaking down each character presented right down to their psychological core, forcing the characters of the town to face their own inner darkness. There's honestly too much to be said for a single video that isn't hours long, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few reasons why this game stands out as a treasure to me. The camera is wonderfully confusing as it dynamically shifts around James while moving through Silent Hill. There are points where you can control the camera to a small degree, at least on the enhanced edition for the PC, but certain areas you can't, such as boss fights or particular rooms trying to aim your attention to certain places or objects. It also would set up beautiful scenery for screenshots that I'm surprised more YouTubers haven't taken advantage of. Sit James in a corner for 20 minutes, record or add a chill tune for a study or sleep playlist. Honestly awe-stricken at times with the sudden burst of symmetry the camera gives you, making a perfect frame around our rigid, deadpan protagonist. It's something I've only ever really felt watching the horror movie Skinamarink, which is a collage of strange camera angles used to create vibes more so than a straight-up narrative. It's almost as if we, the player, are a disembodied portion of James Sunderland's psyche, like the role the audience plays in the show Mr. Robot as an imaginary friend to Elliot Alderson. Though we are never addressed within the game's narrative, we are the vehicle of emotion for most of the game, where James simply has no reaction to the many monsters he encounters. My man didn't even flinch stuffing his hand into a disgusting, shit-filled toilet to get a wallet. James guy, I'd rather do a puzzle or fight demons than see you ever do that again.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Usually conversations left me asking more questions than James himself, who was almost never outwardly emotional. He was stoic and reserved right down to the idle animations. Look at this man. He has no cares in the world. It feels like a deliberate attempt to make James come off as detached and numb. Even his monotone voice acting adds to this effect.
Someone very important to me. I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
Team Silent masterfully leaned into the grubby texture style of the PS2, making everything, like the toilet from earlier, have a distinctive style of crap, which is normally praise I say for PS1 style games. And yes, grubby crap is indeed a compliment from me. I am a mushroom, I do eat scat. Before I start going over the narrative of Silent Hill 2, please know I will be going over major spoiler of the game's story. Since a remake has been announced, many newcomers to the title may want to hold off until they have a chance to play the remake. That might be a while. Though I will be using my own interpretation of events and not searching all over the internet through interviews, tweets, documentaries, and more to learn the exact story of Silent Hill 2 from the perspective of Team Silent. This has been done by a million other people in videos or articles that are probably much more thorough than mine here, and I honestly doubt I could find much more or add anything to that conversation. So I'm giving you my take on the game. Hello, Editor Mushroom here. I also forgot to add that most of my perspective will be filtered through a single ending of the game. And though I do end up talking about some of the other endings, I really don't go that into detail about most of them, so please understand this is mostly from the perspective of a single ending that I got on my recent playthrough. For everyone still on board, let's take a dive into the mind of James Sunderland. We begin the game with James being fucking weird. Outside, James ponders the fact he received a letter from his deceased wife who died 3 years ago. That's at least what James says. This is not to be believed, as we find out James is an unreliable narrator, not just to us the player, but also to himself. James refuses to connect with his life at this moment. He's cut off from his emotions to distance himself from his guilt. And what exactly is that? Well, slowly you are given hints that something terrible went down between James and Mary. The monsters you see him meet are horrific and terrifying on the surface, but begin to fully take shape when you realize how they relate to James Sunderland's own broken mind. Even the character Angela knows something about the sins James has committed, since people can see each other's monsters in Silent Hill, as it's a place where the material meets the metaphysical manifestations of people's own psyche. That's what I believe the character Maria is, a manifestation from James Sunderland's mind that represents the fantasized version he made of his wife during her sickness. Mary caught or developed some sort of sickness that made her become disfigured and very weak. During this sickness, Mary became upset with life and at times took it out on the people around her, like James.
Mary?
What do you want, James?
I brought you some flowers.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look! I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here! Leave me alone already! I'm no use to anyone. Are you still here? I told you to go! Are you deaf? Don't come back!
And so, like Maria says later, after dressing up like Mary, that she is everything James wanted.
But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell at you or make you feel bad. That's what you wanted. I'm different than Mary. How can you throw me away?
Monsters like the limb mannequins, pyramid head, straight jacket thingies, and even the nurses represent parts James decidedly tries to hide from himself. Pyramid Head is seen early on doing God knows what to the limb mannequins. Next time Pyramid Head is taking some leisure time with one of the straitjacket monsters with strange, distorted moans, and afterwards starts attacking James. He soon decides to disappear into the depths, which, oddly enough, allows us passage into the depths ourselves. Pyramid Head continues to appear at different moments, and continuing towards the truth seems to have him arrive more often, and encounters slowly grow more gruesome as time goes on. So, what is Pyramid Head? The violence James rejects about himself. It sits and stirs in dark corners, acting on himself and the world around him. It becomes a foreign and strange thing without a face, without humanity, as James tries to remove it until reaching the foundations of truth within himself. The nurse, straitjackets, and limb mannequins? They are demented forms of his wife and the different feelings he had around her, as the flip side to Maria being his fantasized version of Mary. Why? Well, partly due to the faceless nature all three of these creatures exhibit, and the later reveal of Mary's deep tissue scarring acquired from whatever nameless disease she had. You find your flashlight with the clothes of Mary, as well as a limb monster that stands up to attack you. Almost as if the game is directly connecting these two figures in some way, and literally there's a flashlight to illuminate the truth. I know I might be looking way too far into it, but it's Silent Hill, it's kinda hard to know if it's me or the game. I mean, scattered in the room are bits and pieces of mannequins, which to me also implies that these are creatures of Sunderland's own creation at some level. Why else is there a room that has a mannequin covered in Mary's clothes with bits and pieces of mannequin bits all over, and a mannequin limb monster sitting right behind it that only stands up when you pick up the flashlight? It's almost as if the original memory of Mary is the illuminating light towards truth, and all these monsters are trying to subvert that truth in some way. The nurses are first met in the hospital while Maria is still following you, which is also where Mary would have spent most of her time near the end of her life with her severe illness. Again, I might be looking too far into it, but having Maria follow you around in the hospital where you first encounter a nurse seems like it's directly connecting these things to James and Mary.
For the straitjacket monsters, they are the first monster you actually meet in the game. Your first fight with them is in this enclosed area where you find a radio that picks up static whenever monsters are nearby. Though just after you fight this straitjacket creature, you actually hear Mary over the radio, broken up into bits that you can't fully comprehend.
These connections are tenuous at best, I admit that. But connecting them this way makes the Ludo narrative, or play narrative, run far deeper than it does without them. So I guess the question is now, what exactly is the truth James is searching for? Well, James killed Mary. So what's happening to James in Silent Hill is he's being forced to relive killing his wife over and over and over again as he walks his way through Silent Hill looking for his wife in a delirious state of denial. Not facing it makes his internalized hell that much worse, which in turn makes the town of Silent Hill a far more dangerous place. It's also why later in the game you have Pyramid Head, representing the violence inside James, executing Maria in front of him. But why did James kill his wife? Well, my understanding at first was that Mary was in so much pain, physically and mentally, that she wanted to end her life and asked James for help. But now I'm not so sure after rewatching my gameplay. We are never given a clear look at what happens, the footage being intermingled between what seems to be a serene memory of Mary and James killing her. And the only time we get to see them speaking directly to each other, Mary is obviously a figment of James Sunderland's imagination brought to life in Silent Hill. His own mind trying to comfort and forgive himself.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
James, if that were true, then why do you look so sad?
I'm not entirely sure what to make of this conversation. I originally thought that Mary asked James to kill her, but nothing I've rewatched in my gameplay implies as much. James is stricken with guilt as he didn't kill Mary out of mercy because she begged or asked him, but out of the hate James slowly developed as their relationship became diseased along with Mary's own illness. In Mary's note, which is read in full with the ending of the game, it's clear this note was sent out after James killed Mary, as she mentions in the letter it will be sent out by a nurse after she passes away. As far as I understand, James had the full letter, but couldn't come to terms with it, and was spellbound to the town of Silent Hill, trapped in a man-made delusion that the person he loved most was still alive, despite what he had done. Does James deserve to leave his hell if he murdered Mary out of hate for having to take care of her? When I thought it was something she asked of him, I felt a little better about the idea of James leaving the town with Laura, ending the whole journey with James moving on and living his life.
Should James have to pay for his crime? Is the act of forgiving himself enough for redemption? I'm not trying to say James is just bad here. I think James is exceedingly human, and the situation makes me ask, if I were in it, could I forgive myself?
But I guess this is Silent Hill working on me in the same way it worked on the people in the game, holding up a mirror to my own mind, showing me my own moral leanings and having me ask whether or not if what I believe is right. Maybe there's far more gray here than I'm comfortable admitting. Basically, I'm saying more about myself than I am about the game, in the same way the monsters of Silent Hill say more about James than the town of Silent Hill. It's a total mindfuck. I know I've probably missed or outright got a lot of details wrong since I didn't read every memo or replay the game multiple times. I'm sorry, the game has me bawling like a baby by the end, and I needed a long emotional break. I couldn't even talk about Angela's story in this video, or Laura, who may or may not be real. Hell, there's a long conversation to be had over the fact one of the most popular songs of this game is called Theme of Laura. Not to say that I won't make a video on these subjects eventually, but damn, this game takes a toll on my soul. I hope you enjoyed the video and following me along my winding path. I don't know if this aligns with the creator's intentions or not, as I did not do much research into it since this is about my take on a game I haven't played in 15 years. But that's why Silent Hill is beautiful to me. It's a town that becomes transformed by people's abstract pain, as well as transforming the people who reside in it. That the pain people endure matters, and does not or cannot go away by trying to sweep it under the rug. If you want to see more content from me, please like, comment, or subscribe, as it helps the channel immensely. Alright, until next time, have a good one, you fungoids.
James. James. Please. Please do something for me. Go on with your life. I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. That's why I want you to live for yourself now. Do what's best for you, James. James. You made me happy.